All right, everyone, we're going to go ahead and get started. Just a few instructions before we begin. You can participate in the webinar either by dialing in by telephone or use your computer microphone and speakers. Looks like everyone logged in right now is using their computer microphone and speakers, so you can change that if you'd like to dial in by telephone. That's in the audio section of the GoToWebinar software. At the end of our webinar, we will have a question and answer session, so I'll unmute everyone. I'll keep you muted during the presentation. So if you have any questions during today's presentation, feel free to type them into the chat panel or the questions panel, and Becca will pick up any questions that you have while I'm presenting. So today's webinar, we are talking about our ZoomText Mac WebReader technology preview. There should be a logo there. There it is for ZoomText Mac. My name is Derek Bovey. I work here as our technical product manager. And you may have noticed if you're joining this webinar and you haven't tried ZoomText Mac or you haven't downloaded the update, there is a new reading tool in the product that's available on a limited time basis until the end of the month, October 31st or 30th. I always get those messed up. 31st. Okay. So you may have seen that in the product, and we're going to show it to you and also walk you through how to use it. Okay. So the tool is called WebReader, and it's going to allow you to be able to consume things like web page articles more easily. And what I mean by that is if you're familiar with ZoomText on the PC side of things, if you were to launch a tool like DocReader on the Internet or even AppReader, there's a lot of content on the web page that you may not be interested in reading. So what WebReader does is basically takes out all the extraneous text or ads and other information on the page and just reads you back the article text. All right. So just to reiterate, this is a limited time beta feature. It will be in all ZoomText Mac products in the future. So kind of two modes of operation, and again, I'll walk you through all of these once we get to the demonstration. But if you're on the Internet, it's going to allow you to read just the article information very easily, either by a hotkey or by clicking and dragging a link into the reading window. All of the information is going to be read aloud using one of the built-in voices on the Mac. If you've used VoiceOver, you may already be familiar with the Alex voice, but there are also some other voices that you can download for free. And if we have a few minutes, I will show you where you can go and find those. There are some other high-quality voices that are available for free on the Mac. And the cool thing about this tool is you can also read other text content as well. You can read things from the clipboard, or you can grab all text from an application window. So if you're in something like Mail, you can open up the message and hit a hotkey, and in one step, it'll select all of the text, copy it to the clipboard, and then open it in the reading window. So a lot of different ways that you can use this tool. And the reason why we are releasing this as a beta is we really want to get people's feedback on the tool, how it works, what they'd like to see improved. And we also are looking to have this as a paid feature in the product. So we'll talk about that a little bit later, but this is free for all ZoomText Mac users. If you're running a trial, you can update ZoomText Mac by going to the ZoomText program menu icon in the upper right-hand corner and choosing Check for Updates. Or if you downloaded the trial on our website, you'll have this reading tool. And I'll just talk about that in a couple minutes here once we jump into the demo. So that's what the tool is. And now we'll go ahead and load up our Mac environment for you and start demonstrating the tool. Now, if you're running an older version of the trial, when you start ZoomText, if you're running an older version of the trial and you've updated, when you start ZoomText, you may not see anything that looks any different, okay? You're not going to notice anything right away. For those people that install the latest version of our trial, the first time they open ZoomText Mac, they're going to be presented with the reading window with some instructions. So if you don't see anything right away, the first place where you can go to see this reading tool is by clicking on the ZoomText program menu icon, and you're going to see a new item listed here that says Open Reading Window. Okay, that's going to open the reading window interface. So if I click on that.
Thank you for trying the ZoomText WebReader trial. a simple-to-use reading tool that strips away all distracting information from web pages. It will also read aloud any content that's in your clipboard. You've just opened that Zoom.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause that. You can see that there are buttons across the top of the interface here. So when you click on that Open Reading Window item from the ZoomText Program menu, it's basically going to open the tool, and the first time you launch it, it will show you how many days are remaining in your trial. It will also, in that window, have an embedded YouTube video that we've created that shows you how to use the tool as well. So that reminder on the days, I believe, comes up every 5 days or so. There's a window that comes up that shows you how many days remaining in your trial, and also the YouTube video present there. But the first time you launch this, if you don't launch it with any content, like on the web with an article, it's going to read back to you this help information about the tool. So you can see we're in a full screen interface. This kind of looks like WebReader with ZoomText on the PC. You have playback controls across the top. There are also keyboard shortcuts to all of those, which I'll go through in a few minutes. You can do things like adjust your font settings, the speech voice that's being used, its rate, things like that, and then where you want to read content from, either the active web page in Safari or the active text in your clipboard. Now there's two different views to this interface. So you're going to notice this shrink and expand button here. In the non-full screen interface, you can use ZoomText Mac to magnify on top of the reading window. It's just like any other application window. Now, one downside to this mode is that while you are moving through text information, or while that highlight is moving, your view is not going to move automatically with it. So for example, if I click the play button, or if you hit the space bar key, that will toggle play pause.
You've just opened that ZoomText. Here's how it works.
Okay, you'll notice that at times the highlighted text that's being read is off screen. All right, so while you're in this windowed mode, ZoomText will not track to that new information. It may be off the screen. Okay, so that's just one thing to be aware of. If you click the expand button to go to the full screen mode, all of the text will always be in view, but if you need to magnify more than the text options allow you to do, you may want to go back to that windowed mode and magnify on top. All right, so just something to be aware of. The full screen mode, you're never going to see the highlight outside of your view. You're always going to be able to see what's being read currently. In the windowed mode, it might be outside of your view. The nice thing about the windowed mode is if it's reading,
press Command plus Option.
Okay, I'm just going to pause this for a second. If it's reading, I can have it read information while I'm performing other tasks.
Press Command plus Option plus R to start reading the content from the current URL, Safari only. Alternately, you can highlight the...
Okay, so I just opened a Safari session and I clicked on a tab.
Alternately, you can highlight...
Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to click there. I just touched the trackpad. So in that windowed mode, you're able to perform other tasks while it's reading. You can kind of think of that in the same manner as our background reader feature in ZoomText on the PC product. So that is one thing you get in the windowed mode that you don't get in the full screen mode. All right, so that's the differences between those two views, the windowed and full screen mode. Now, when you're ready to exit the tool, there's a couple different ways to do it. One, and this hotkey is always one that you can use. Pressing Command W on the keyboard will close the active window. That's one way to close it. If you're in the windowed mode, you can also click on the X in the upper left-hand corner of the Mac window. If you're in full screen, there's a couple different ways to do it. Easiest way, Command W is going to close the window, okay, and bring me back to my desktop. Now I'm just going to go ahead and open the reading window again. And so if I don't use that Command W, I can do one of two things to get the full screen mode back to windowed. I can click Shrink or just hit the Escape key. That will bring it back to the windowed mode, and then I can click the X. All right, so a good rule of thumb here, use Command W to close the reading window. That's probably going to be your easiest way to close the window. All right, as long as it's active, Command W will close that window for you. Okay, so That's the behavior if you're opening it from the program menu here, but let's say I want to open a web page article that I'd like to read. So I've already got some tabs open here in Safari, and I'm going to open this article that Maury posted on our blog yesterday about Sue Martin's new book called Out of the Whirlpool. So if I open a web page article, all right, I've got a page open here that I would like to read. You can see on our site, you've got a number of tabs across the top. You've got product links and advertisements on the right-hand side. You've got our Facebook feed. You've got categories and other articles down at the bottom. All right, so lots of content. And the idea behind this feature is that it's able to extract just the article text. All right, we have some technology built into this tool that's going to tell us exactly the article information, its title, its text, and any additional information. Like on our blog, it will pick up the tags at the bottom, but nothing else. So how do I launch this reading tool from here? Well, easiest way is when you're on the page that you would like to read, the hotkey is Command-Option-R, R as in read. All right, if you remember any of our other hotkeys in ZoomText Mac, they all start with Command-Option. So those are going to be your two primary keys. So if I press Command-Option-R,
retrieving content. Sue Martin's Out of the Whirlpool. Last year, Becca introduced you to Sue Martin, someone I had talked to over the phone many times back when I wore my tech support hat.
Okay, so what happened there is after I hit the hotkey, it retrieved the content from the web page. There was a tone indicating that it was still doing some processing in the background, and then it automatically opened the reading window and began reading. So if I scroll through this content, and scrolling through the information is done very easily with the arrow keys. If I want to go to the first paragraph in the article, I can just hit the up arrow.
Sue Martin's Out of the World.
Okay, so that's the title. The down arrow key will go to the last paragraph or last chunk of information in that article.
Tagged as AI Squared, Blindness, Book, Inspirational.
Okay, so which is the tags in that post. Now, if you want to navigate paragraph by paragraph, left and right arrow keys. So let me hit the up arrow to go back to the top.
Sue Martin's Out.
And now I'm going to use the left and right arrow keys to go to the next or previous paragraph.
Last year, Becca introduced, well, I got to know Sue a lot, but there was a dark time in her 20s. Well, I got to know Sue.
Okay, and I'll just hit the space bar to pause that. So content navigation is done using the arrow keys. Up and down will bring you to the beginning and end, and left and right arrow keys will go between paragraphs of information. You also have buttons here across the top that do the same functions. If you hover over the button, you're going to see a tooltip that comes up and tells you what the hotkey is for it. Next section is right arrow, last section down arrow. If you want to repeat the text that's being read, basically the current paragraph, you just hit the enter or return key. Okay, so there's hotkeys for all the buttons across the top. Now, if you want to adjust the look and feel of the reading window, you can click on the text button here. And this will open a dialog where you can adjust things like your text size, the highlighted text size. So one thing that's interesting to note here, you can have independent highlighted and non-highlighted text sizes. And what I mean by that, and I'll just exit out of this. So if you look at the text that's being highlighted here, and there's a big paragraph of information that kind of scrolls off screen, but that text is larger than the text above it, which is not being highlighted. All right, so the highlighted text is a little bit bigger than the other text that's being presented. Okay, so you can kind of make it jump out at you versus the non-highlighted information. So these slide bars, if you click on them, it will adjust the settings in real time. Okay, so if I drop down the text size and bump up that highlighted text size just a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and close the window so you can see it. Now look at the difference here. So you can see the rest of the text is rather small, and I've got the highlighted text size a little bit bigger than the rest of the text.
But there was a dark time, her love affair, but it was her love of the outdoors.
Okay, so you can see that illustrated very well here. All right, so a lot of different options here that are new that you might not have seen in other products or other features that we've done in the past. Okay, and a lot of this, again, since this is a beta, everything's up for debate, including all these features and settings. So along with the text size slider, you've got the highlighted text size. You can adjust things like line spacing if you want less or more spacing in between the individual lines. And then you can also adjust the margins, either narrow or wide as well. Okay, although it looks like, yeah, there you go. And you'll see all of that reflected in real time. The other thing you can adjust the color of the highlight. Okay, I'll just make a couple changes here. So you can see this in the background behind the dialog that it's changing. So you can adjust the color of the highlight. And again, these color options here, these are just some arbitrary values that we picked. So obviously we're looking for feedback on what color choices work best for you. While I'm talking about feedback, the best way to send us feedback is to email ztmac@aisquared.com. That's where you're going to want to send any of the feedback that you have regarding this feature. And we're going to take all that information into account for when we go through our final development cycle on this feature. All right, so you can adjust basically the inside color of the highlight, and then also the frame around that highlight you can choose a color for as well. Right now it's set to black, but you've also got colors like red, green, blue, or you can have no frame around the highlight if you want as well. Black seems to work best, I think, because you can really tell exactly what's being highlighted. Last thing you can do is adjust the font that's being displayed in the reading window. So we have 5 font choices here. It's going to default to Verdana, but you can have Times New Roman, Helvetica, Courier, or I think default is probably Myriad Pro, I'm guessing. It's a system default. Okay? So if you want to change your font choices, you can do that in here as well. All right, so those are all of the options that are available within the reading window. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click this shrink button to make it go back to the windowed mode or the non-full screen mode to show you another way that you can read article information. So I showed you before, I opened the web page and then I pressed Command Option R. Okay, what if I don't want to use the hotkeys? What if I just want to use my mouse to read article information? Well, one thing you can do is you can drag and drop article links into the reading window. So behind my Safari window is where the reading window is. Again, I'm not in the full screen mode. So what I can do within this article here, we link to an article that we wrote last year. So let's say I want to read that. I can just left click and drag it into the reading window, which again is behind my Safari window. So I'm dragging and dropping it into that window.
Retrieving content. Out of the whirlpool, I'd like to introduce you to Sue Martin. Sue works for the United States Department of Veterans Affairs as a Section 500.
Okay, so that was another way that I could read the article information, is just drag and drop a link into the reading window. All right, another way that you can do it, just to give you a couple different options. This one's probably the longest workflow, but you can copy the link from your address bar in Safari by doing Command C, and then going to the reading window and pressing Command V.
Retrieve. End of article. Sue Martin's Out of the Whirlpool. Last year, Becca introduced you to Sue Martin.
Okay, so that was the active page I was on. I basically just copy and pasted the website address into the reading window. All right. So a number of ways that you can have WebReader read content to you. Easiest way to do it, open the page that you want to read and press Command Option R. If you're in the windowed mode and you leave that reading window open, you also can drag and drop links into the reading window like I just showed you, or you can copy and paste the website URL into that window. Now, one comment about reading information with WebReader. You're going to want to open the actual article of text that you want to read when using this tool. If you use it on something like a home page, all right, like if you use it on the AI Squared main blog page or our home page, or went to something like New York Times, it will be unable to grab something like a home page. It's going to default and try and find the article that's on that page and just give you that content. Okay, so it's not going to work well for reading something like a home page. It's going to be best when you open the actual article. All right, so just to show you another example here, I've got Google News open here with some sports stories. USA Today is a good example, so I'll open this link. Their web page is a little busy. There's a lot of these navigation tabs and ads all over the place. So again, the main benefit of this tool is to just extract the article information. As you can see as I scroll down, there's lots of these other links to other articles. Command Option R.
Retrieving content. Pair of home runs gives Pirates early.
Okay, I'm going to pause this and go to the full screen mode here for you. All right, so I'm going to start arrowing through this article, and again, you're not going to see any extraneous information. It's just the article information.
Marlon Bird, Pittsburgh, Fox, Red, the October, more. The crowd worked at the link has been posted to your face.
Okay, so it's just the article text. None of the other information will be in there. If there are pertinent images regarding the article, they will also be displayed as well. It doesn't look like in this case it actually grabbed the images, but if you notice from our blog articles, it did do that. You'd see a picture along with the text presented there as well. Okay? So those are the different ways that you can use the tool when reading on the web. Now let's say you had information that wasn't a web page article and you wanted to read text you've copied to your clipboard. All right, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can open Mail here and get an article here. So here's our Zoom news from August. Now let's say I had this email and I just wanted to read or have read to me this section about, oops, I don't want to go into the full screen mode here, about ZoomText 10.1 for Windows 8. Okay, so what I would do is select the text with my mouse, all right, go ahead and copy it by pressing Command C, which is a copy command on the Mac. Now, if you want WebReader to read what's in your clipboard, simply press Command Option P, as in paste.
ZoomText 10.1 for Windows 8 is released. ZoomText 10.1 for Windows 8 is here, offering full.
Okay, so that automatically took the text that was in my clipboard, opened it in the reading window, and started reading it for me. One interesting thing to note, it actually retained some of the font information, like the title here was this blue text. There's also some bold text, part of that I copied. That is all retained when it's displayed within the WebReader reading window. So that's a really cool feature. We're not just getting the text, the plain text, we're also getting some formatting along with it to give you a little bit more visual feedback as to what you're reading. All right. So again, that hotkey is Command Option P. So whatever you've pasted, whatever you've copied to the clipboard, you can read at any time by using Command Option P. So again, not to make too many comparisons to the PC product, but we have a feature in ZoomText 10.0 called Background Reader, which will read the content from your clipboard. This WebReader tool, can allow you to do very similar things via hotkeys. Okay, and there's also a button up here. So if I clicked that paste button, it's just going to read whatever is in the clipboard at that time. If I click the web button, that will read whatever content is in my active browser at the current time when I click the button. For best results, you're going to want to use Safari if you're reading content on the web. Definitely use Safari. We've had varying experiences depending on the browser, but Safari is going to be the best experience for you when using this tool. Certainly if you use a different browser, we'd love to hear your feedback on that, whether it works or if it doesn't work. Hotkeys will not work apparently in the other browsers, but it will work in Safari. So if you're using something like Firefox, you're going to need to either copy and paste the link or drag it into the reading window. Okay. But definitely send us some feedback on that if you use a specific browser and maybe you're having issues and you want to see us support one of those. Please let us know which one you use. Let's see. The last thing I'll show you, there's another hotkey that that can automate this process if you're trying to read an entire email. So again, let's say I had this email opened and I wanted to read the entire thing, okay? Instead of me left-clicking and selecting all of the text, we have a hotkey that will basically do a select all, a copy, and a read clipboard all in one step. And that hotkey is Command-Option-G. You can think of it as grab. So Command-Option-G will select all the text in this email, copy it, and start reading it in the reading window. Let's try that again. I think it might.
You're receiving this newsletter because you signed up at AIsquared.com. Having trouble reading this email?
Okay, so that's the beginning of the email. There's some title text at the very beginning asking if you want to read it in your browser. Here's the navigation stuff on the left, some other information on the sidebar, and then here's the part where it starts about ZoomText 10.1 for Windows 8. So all that text from the email copied and read aloud to me in the reading window all in one step. So if you have something like a document, this will be best in a document because when we're reading our Zoom news, there's a lot of formatting in that, okay, that might be difficult. But if you're just reading a plain text document in Pages or something like that, or even a PDF document, as long as you can copy the text, you'll be able to read it within the reading window, okay? So basically there are two sources that you can read content from with WebReader. One is on the Internet, reading a web page article, and the other is reading any text from your clipboard. Okay, so those are the two sources you're going to be able to read from with this tool. All right. Now, a couple other things I'll show you, just some tips. Actually, one thing I didn't show. Let me go back here. The speech button, which is next to that text button where you can adjust the settings. In here in the speech button, you can choose what voice you would like to have the reading tool use, its speed, volume, and also there's a sample text box where you can hear what it sounds like.
This is sample text to speak.
Okay. Now, a lot of the default voices are just kind of there as a joke, I think. So, for example, there's one in here called Bad News.
This is sample text to speak.
So you're probably not going to want to use that day in, day out with this reading tool. So they've got kind of a lot of joke synthesizers in here. So Alex is going to be the best. But what I do want to show you as a quick tip outside of ZoomText is if you go to your system preferences on the Mac and I believe it is dictation and speech. I'm going to have to find this here. And then text to speech. If you click on the drop down, so again, system preferences, dictation and speech, then click on the text to speech tab where it says system voice. If you click on this drop down, there's a customize button. In here, you're going to see some additional voices that you can check. So, for example, under U.S. English United States, Tom is actually one of the nuanced voices, high-quality voice. I believe Samantha and Jill are as well. So if I check these, okay, notice that there's an alert down here. This voice will be automatically downloaded. If you click OK, it's going to ask, are you sure you want to download and install 3 voices, blah, blah, blah. So they're pretty large. It's 1.2 gigabytes for those 3 voices. But what that allows you to do is install additional high-quality voices onto your Mac for free. Those are built into the operating system. So again, those voices that I've identified, there could be more that are human-sounding. Tom, Jill, and Samantha. All right. These other ones, I think, are still a little kind of robotic-sounding. So those are some other additional voices that you have on your Mac that you might not have been aware of. Let's see. Is there anything else that we want to demonstrate here? I think we've covered pretty much everything, right? So just to reiterate what those hotkeys were, Command-Option-R, when you've got a web page open or an article open, will read the current page back to you. So on the web in Safari, Command-Option-R, is going to start reading the article back to you. If you want to read the text that's in your clipboard, that is Command Option P, P as in paste. If you want to read everything within the active application window, if you want to grab all of the text, select all, copy it, and start reading it, that is Command Option G. Okay, so those are the three primary hotkeys you're going to want to be familiar with. There's one other hotkey, which is Command Option O. That will just open the reading window. So whatever was in it previously, if I hit Command Option O, you'll see will be displayed to me right now, which was the text that we used the Command Option G command with from our email. So Command Option O will bring back the reading window, basically restore its previous state as well. Anytime you launch this tool, regardless of how you're launching it, it will come back in the previous state, so in terms of full screen or windowed. All right, so just keep that in mind. If you have it in the windowed state and you close it, next time you launch it, it's going to come up windowed. If you're in full screen and you exit out by hitting Command W, that's the close window hotkey for the Mac operating system, Command W. But if you close it in full screen and open it again, it will come back in full screen. Okay, so we restore the last state that that reading window was in. All right, so just something to be aware of. Okay, so that pretty much does it for the functionality of WebReader. One thing we just wanted to clear up for everybody. So you might be wondering if you've got an article that you want to read, what's the difference between using Command Option R and Command Option G? And I'll show you that difference right now. If I hit Command Option R while I'm on our blog article,
Retrieving Sue Martin's Out of the Whirlpool.
Notice that it starts at the actual title of the article. Now if I go back and use Command Option G, which is select all and then copying and reading.
Home, about, our perspective, product reviews, tips and tricks.
Notice that it's reading all of the text in linear fashion, top left to bottom right. So all of those tabs on our blog page, the zoomed in title, then it says AI Squared blog, and finally we get to the article heading. Okay, so it's less efficient for us to use the Command Option G or Select All command because we're grabbing all of the text on the website. All right, this is how DocReader would work if you use it in our PC product. DocReader is going to start at the very top left of your active page. So it's going to make it more difficult for you to get to the content that you want to read. So using Command Option R is effectively looking at that page and finding out exactly where the article is, where its title is, that's where we'll begin, and then giving you just the article text back. Okay, so that's one of the advantages of this reading tool versus just something that's able to read any text on screen. There's some intelligence built in so that we can just get the article information. Okay, so that's the difference between using those two functions. Again, on the web, Command Option R is going to be the most efficient, but if you're in other applications that you want to read, you can either copy text with your mouse and then read it from the clipboard with Command Option P, or if you want to read the entire document that you're in, Command Option G is a good way to do that. Okay?
And one more thing just to add, the Command Option R, that actually will only work in Safari. So if you're, if you've got an email open, Command Option R is not actually going to do what you want it to do. So that's just for Safari.
Good point. Yeah, definitely something to be aware of. Safari, again, is going to be where you're going to have the best experience with this reading tool. Okay, so that does it for the demonstration. A few things that we're going to just talk about real quick here, and then we'll open it up to question and answer. Oops, I didn't want to start at the beginning. Let's get back to where we were. So just some kind of FAQ type questions. How do you get the WebReader trial? It's available in every copy of ZoomText Mac, including the trials. So if you're running an older version, just go to your ZoomText program menu and click Check for Updates. or if you've downloaded the latest trial from our website, it'll be in there. And again, the reading tool is available until October 31st. That's a typo, so let me fix that. So basically until the end of the month. When is it going to be integrated into the full product? Right now, we plan on having a full reading tool available in ZoomText Mac by the end of this year. Okay, that's our target right now. And you may recall me at the beginning saying that this will be an additional cost. We're still evaluating how we will charge for reading support on the ZoomText Mac product. So we're taking this time and providing this tool to everyone for free. It may be part of a higher cost product on the Mac, or it might be an add-on price for any existing users. So right now we don't have any estimate or idea as to what that will be, so we're relying on everyone's feedback on this tool in the next month to help us make that determination. Okay? All right, so I think now might be a good time to open it up to question and answer. Just a couple things to note. I've got our sales and tech support hotlines listed up here, so if you need any support and assistance from support, you can always contact them if you're having problems with the download, something's not working. They're available Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Also, any and all feedback, make sure that you send to ztmac@aisquared.com. Okay, make sure you do that if you're running the tool. We'd love to hear all of your feedback, good, bad, indifferent. We want to hear what you think about this tool, if you think it's useful, if there's some things that you'd like to see. One thing I'll bring up right now, because I'm sure it'll be a question that might be in some people's minds. As far as word highlighting goes, like we do with WebReader on the PC end of things, that is something that we're looking into. We don't know if it's something that's actually possible on the Mac platform. Okay, so the way that we do things in Windows and the way that we do things on a Mac are entirely different. So you may not get the exact same experience in both of those platforms. All right, so things like highlighting individual words may not be possible on the Mac platform, but it is something we're aware of. Okay, I also noticed quite a few people may have signed in a little late. In the event that you missed part of the webinar, we have recorded today's session. It will be up on our website probably later today, definitely by tomorrow morning, or you can always sign up for another session next week. Okay? I think the best way to handle this might be if you have a question, since there's a few people in here, and if I unmute everyone, a lot of times there's a ton of background noise. If you'd like, you can type in your question, or there's also a raise hand button. If you click that raise hand button, I'll know to unmute you so you can ask your question to the group. Otherwise, it looks like a few people have already been typing in some questions, so we'll see if some of those we'd like to propose to the group. Yeah, one person did ask about highlighting, and yes, highlighting is done by paragraph. So right now we don't have a way to highlight word by word or line by line. Let's see, Becca, were there any questions that?
Well, there was one that was kind of a side question asking about the double pointer and kind of a status on that, and I wasn't really sure. I know it's on Apple to fix it, and I don't know.
Anything from them, multiple communication.
Okay.
Yeah, just to tell everyone, so there's an issue where
Actually, these will hide it more effectively.
So we have an issue on the Mac where you'll see kind of two mouse pointers, one magnified and one unmagnified. It's actually due to an issue within the Mac operating system. It's a bug that Apple's aware of. They haven't fixed it. We've pressed them on it multiple times. We haven't gotten a commitment from them. But in our next release, we're hoping that that issue will be less noticeable. We've done some things to try and adjust that. There was a couple other questions that came in that I wanted to bring up. Someone asked, what happens to the WebReader beta after the trial expires? Does it just stop working, or does it go away? In the current build, or excuse me, the current version of ZoomText, it will simply stop functioning. However, we will have an update that will remove the WebReader feature and also introduce some other features and support, namely for the Mavericks OS. Okay, so it will expire, and basically the feature won't function at that time. But once you download the next update, we'll remove that so that it's not on the program menu and kind of in the way. So don't worry about that moving forward.
Well, just to sort of add to that, since it's a beta, we just don't know how much feedback we're going to get, how many things to fix. It might be that, you know, by the time it expires, we just then put it in the product itself, and then it will be there working. We just don't know yet.
Yeah, so Fred asked the question, he said, what will the price be for the Reader add-on? We honestly don't know at this point. It's dependent on a number of factors, but that's why we're taking this time for people to evaluate the tool. Certainly, if you have an opinion on what you think it should be, we'd love to hear it. But right now, it's yet to be determined on what that is. Again, it may be that the ZoomText Mac product is at a different price point when we introduce these reading features, or it may be an add-on cost to the base product, yet to be determined. Some good questions coming in so far, so keep them coming if you've got other questions. And again, if you want to speak to the group, just click on that raise hand button, and I'll know to unmute you so you can ask your question to the group. Just to let you guys know while we're waiting for any more questions to come in, we are planning another ZoomText update towards the end of the month to add support for the new operating system that Apple is releasing. So once this WebReader trial is over, there will be another update that will add support for the quote-unquote Mavericks operating system. I don't know if that's their official name for it, and also some improved performance. Okay, so those are two of the major things that we're targeting in our next update. Any other questions for us here this morning? Anything we can clear up for you guys, or other questions that you had about the feature, how to use it? And a lot of what I covered today is also available in our video on YouTube. And actually, if you guys can help us out, for the people that are here in the webinar, can you tell us if you've downloaded and tried ZoomText WebReader yet? Do you have ZoomText Mac? We'd love to hear if you guys are using it, or if you just didn't know what it was and attended this webinar. So if you can take a minute and just type in whether or not you've tried it or if you've downloaded it, that'd be great for us to know. Okay, maybe I'll rephrase that question. Has anyone tried using the WebReader tool? Okay, great. So a couple people said that they've used it. One person said that they've downloaded it and will try it now. Brad, you mentioned that you were confused on how to use it. Did today's webinar help answer any of those questions, or is there anything else we can help you in regards to learning to use the tool a little bit better? Okay. Brad just said he needs to use it more. Yeah. You know, again, if you remember the hotkeys, you should be good. Otherwise, you can always refer to the YouTube video. It's on our. Is it on our website somewhere?
I don't think it is actually. It's on our, the blog for sure.
Okay. Yeah, you can find that video a number of different ways. Either if you go to our blog, aisquared.com/blog, or go to youtube.com/AI squared. You'll see it on our channel page there. Great, and you got the link in the email. Okay, excellent. Yeah, once you learn those hotkeys, you should be all set. Another handy one to use that's not covered in the video is Command W to close the window. I think that's a handy hotkey to remember when trying to close out of that reading window, certainly if you're using it in full screen mode. Okay, any other questions for us here this morning? And again, thank you guys for all of your questions and feedback so far. All right, doesn't look like there's any more questions, so we'll go ahead and end the webinar for today. Fred just asked, had a comment, keyboard shortcuts for PC keyboard used on a Mac. I'm not sure, can you clarify what you mean by that? If you're using a PC keyboard, as far as Command and Option, I believe the Command key is it Alt? No.
Option.
Option maps to Alt, I think Control. Oh, Command maps to the Windows key, I believe. Okay. Yeah, if you're using the ZoomText keyboard, so the Command key on the Mac is the Windows key, Control maps to Control, and Alt maps to the Option key. Okay. You can kind of figure that out by trial and error too. They're basically in the same location. Brad had a good comment. He said you can turn on the VoiceOver keyboard help to learn the keys. There's a help feature within VoiceOver that will tell you what key you pressed when you press it. That's a good suggestion, Brad. Thanks for that. The hotkey for that, VoiceOver hotkeys, are they Control Option? Well, I don't recall, but yeah, Control Option K will open that keyboard helper with VoiceOver if you want to do that. Yeah, Fred asked if we can publish that info. I don't know if that's something we'll publish because you're using a PC keyboard on a Mac. I feel like that might confuse people. So I don't know if we want to release that. I mean, basically, you can find out what the keys are either by trial and error, or even if you Google it, I'm sure you can find out what the PC keyboard maps to for a Macintosh. But really, the only difference is the Windows key is the Command key, and also the Alt key maps to Alt or Option. Sometimes it's called Option on the Mac. Okay. So if you remember that, you should be good. I usually just press all the keys until I figure out what they do. Kind of brute force, but that's how I figured it out. Brad said he does the same. Good, I'm glad I'm not alone. All right, well, thank you guys again. And if you have feedback or if you have other questions, please feel free to email us, ztmac@aisquared.com. Also, feel free to bug us on our Facebook or Twitter as well. If you have questions or comments, you can post them there also. Fred just asked another question, is there a ZoomText Mac keyboard? Yes, we do sell large print keyboards for the Mac. They don't have the function keys across the top like the PC keyboard has, but they are large print. I believe 3 different color schemes available as well. And you can find that information on our website. Okay, so thank you guys for attending. And also, yeah, Brad's doing all the work for us. He should work in our marketing department here. He said, don't forget the skins. We also sell keyboard skins if you have a laptop. So again, something that has a non-external keyboard. We sell these keyboard skins that can fit over the top of a laptop or full-size keyboard. They're kind of like a silicone overlay. What are those, $30?
30 or 35.
30 or 35, depending on whether you have a laptop or full-size keyboard layout with number pad. Okay, so Fred, if you're interested in that, definitely check it out on our website. Go to the Products tab, and then I believe they're listed under ZoomText, the ZoomText Mac category on the left-hand side. All right, well, thank you, guys. We hope you have a great rest of the day, and thanks for all your questions and participation this morning. And take care and have a good day.